Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games. And my last week has basically been another exclusive week for EVE Online. Well, it's not entirely true. I played a little bit of Skyrim but hardly made any real progress in there, nothing to report. So let's get back to EVE Online, where I spent a decent amount of time, I would say around average, doing a little bit of everything from a Care Bear standpoint. So first of all, a little bit of exploration in Galente space, a couple of small rounds and one evening where I spent a couple of hours looking for good sites, doing some data sites and things like that as well. Pretty rewarding. I guess the summertime slump is also helping explorers because I'm seeing less competition and I'm finding good combat sites decently consistently. Drops wise, well, pretty much average, I would say. Nothing really outstanding, but a couple of good reppers and things like that that do get us a little bit of ISK. I also did a little bit of mining, compressing that and just getting those resources back into Jita so that we are ready if and when prices go back up, which I do expect, like after the summer, to see a little bit of resurgence as players need ships, need munitions, need stuff. And who knows, of course CCP may come out with some updates as well on industry. I mean, I thought they said that they were going to look at Tech 2 industry as well, but none of that has changed just yet. So we'll see how all of that evolves. Basically, yeah, we're in a little bit of a stockpiling phase, although once I get back to Jita, I'm also doing a little bit of active trading, focusing mostly on the Tech 2 ships. So we've made a couple of trades, and this week actually made a couple of extra purchases. I think some of the logistics cruisers went down substantially and are maybe in a good place. Also bought an Ishtar at, I think, a pretty cheap price, so hopefully we can turn those around. But it must be said, yeah, that we are starting to feel that summer slump effect, together with, of course, I think the real life situation where players get to finally do something else than sit behind a computer and be locked at home in over a year. So overall, right now activity is declining, which also does mean a lower demand and thus lower prices, which is good on the one hand for investing, but if you're looking to make the profits, I think we will need a little bit of patience. Then we get some other news, of course. We get a new patch with the changes to the Black Ops battleships that did shoot up quite substantially in price, but are also coming down very quickly. So I do think that that will not be as impactful as the Marauder change, where they basically stepped up in price and they've been very expensive ever since. They are now basically, I think, the king of the level 4 mission ships. A couple of them are just so powerful now that it makes no sense to compare them anymore to like even a Rattlesnake and things like that. They're just super powerful, and that means that premium is there to stay. I think for the Black Ops battleships, more a PvP thing where you know, they're used and lost a little bit more often, and so you already have a turnover and an economy, so it's about scaling that up so you can do your Black Ops activity. They've got an extra functionality to them, which I do think makes them very nice, but overall I think that balance will be found again when it comes to supply demand for these Black Ops battleships. Maybe a little bit of a premium, but not as noticeable as the Marauders is my personal expectations. And I think all of that action in the Tech 2 battleships is what is of course driving these price costs up for a lot of the other ships, and potentially, hopefully for me of course, bringing volatility down the line to the smaller Tech 2 ships, because that's where I'm focusing most of my investments at the moment. Quick mention as well, of course, that CCP is planning to remove the skill point loss on the destruction of a Tech 3 cruiser. That's a pretty big one that definitely increased their price market-wise substantially all of a sudden. Not sure if that's there to stick, but definitely a unique thing that felt very punishing, and that's also a reason why I honestly don't fly Tech 3 cruisers that often. I do think that this means that I may skill into the Tengu, so that I've got that PvE option there as well for like events and things like that. They're super powerful for that. that, we have to be honest. And so that's something that I'll maybe work towards, but at the moment I'm actually working towards the Edencom stuff. All of those skills are now injected, and then hopefully prices will come down as well a little bit so that we can get all of those ships up and running and take a look at those. But overall, yeah, I'm having fun in EVE Online. I do think that all the effort I'm putting in right now is super valuable, since there's fewer players actually doing stuff out there at the moment, and that actually motivates me to keep going, to try and get the reserves up and running. Not that I can complain about not having enough stuff and enough ISK and things like that, but this is how I enjoy playing EVE Online, and this is my way to independence, you could say, as a solo player. That's what I enjoy doing, and right now I think it's a good time to forge on ahead and to maybe make some extra plans. At the moment I'm basically working on skills, new ships, new weapon systems to fly, all the Edencom stuff, then probably the Tengu, and then later down the line perhaps we'll make some bigger plans for other stuff, for other adventures in EVE Online. We will of course also keep an eye on what CCP announces for the development. I do think maybe something that they're feeling at this point as well is that there's no big expansions. There haven't been for a very long time, and so you know, at the moment I think there's maybe a little bit of a feeling of rut or something like that. I mean, CCP is iterating quite often, they're doing a lot of stuff to the game, but since none of it is like a big meaningful expansion, impactful expansion, you don't get this this hype period where everyone is looking forward to something coming to the game. It's in fact super, you know, a super fast development cycle at the moment. Like every week you're getting a patch with a couple of small changes, which does keep everything fresh, of course, but it also makes everything very unpredictable, and there's no big hype build-up. So not really sure if that's ever going to change, but I would say that maybe a little bit of hype building here and there, a little bit more hype building and some bigger changes could be interesting as well. So let's see what CCP plans to do. Of course, the industry changes, for instance, were absolutely huge, if not very popular, with a very specific goal in mind for CCP. So we will see and keep an eye on the development for EVE Online as well. And yeah, basically that was my last week in games. One quick note is it may change the EVE only stuff because we do have the summer sales happening on Steam at the moment, and then next week we should get a trailer and some information on the next leak for Path of Exile. Definitely something that I'm looking forward to as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time.